welcome to episode number 1 of the PhDyer podcast. This is going to be a podcast about my making, my life, a lot of baking, mostly knitting, but I do dabble in some cross stitch now as well as some embroidery. So I love to try new things, and this is all about my journey from laboratory to dye studio. So I'm happy you're here to join me. First things first, we are under quarantine. I would say that's a bad thing, but I've been really enjoying staying inside and knitting and getting to do all my making since I originally worked like 90 plus hours a week, getting my PhD and pursuing that. And so I've really been enjoying the time off. Although I am praying for those that are sick or those that have family members affected, and praying for those that are losing their sanity over staying inside, because I know not everybody is really good at staying inside when they don't have too much to do. So I hope everybody kind of has something to do craft-wise or something to keep them occupied like I do. So a little bit about me. I am a scientist, or I was a scientist. I pursued a PhD degree in molecular biology and genetics. So I studied male fertility. I studied the genetics that might possibly affect male fertility. And so specifically I studied base pairs in the DNA. So small changes that might be made that might cause endocrine problems, so problems with hormones. And so what does it do to the DNA and then subsequently to hormones if something in the DNA is changed by just one letter? And so I would go through large data sets and sort of look at all the base pairs in the DNA and make relationships between endocrine changes and male fertility issues in cattle, which is what I used as a model. So I worked on my PhD for about 4.5 years. I skipped my master's. I went just right from my bachelor's to my PhD. So I am just a little bit young for gaining my PhD, and I think that kind of hurt me in the long run with getting a permanent position somewhere, but I thought it was an accomplishment. But, you know, some things don't work out the way you think they should. I secured a position that basically works with people that might have food allergies, and basically testing for those, and for testing and propagating genetics for the farmers, for animals we eat, or like sheep we breed for wool or for meat. So anything you would need to genotype for a specific trait, basically to breed them for their genetics. Let's say, for example, if you did need like softer wool and there was a trait for that, we could genotype it and then get it back to you, and so you could breed accordingly. They basically gave me the position on the spot when I went to visit there, and then when I got back, I waited like a week for them to get the contract together, and I knew something was kind of off because, I don't know, they don't just give you the position and then it takes a week. It seemed really strange. So they ended up going with an internal candidate within the company that stepped up at like the last second. They were literally having a meeting about bringing me on board and what I was going to bring to the table and their expectations when somebody stepped up and wanted the job. So I ended up losing out on that, which I thought was a huge failure. I didn't take it very well. So I cried for like a long time. And then for a couple more months, I pursued looking for so many different positions. I mean, we're talking teaching, mostly things in the laboratory, something called a field application scientist, which I really thought I wanted, all to find out that I was getting nothing. I was just too highly specialized. Even recruiters were working with me and they said like it's just very specialized and it's really difficult to find a position because the need for something like that if it's been filled, I mean, somebody basically has to die for you to get in there. I mean, if there isn't somebody that's retiring or going out, like, you can't actually get the position. So it can take up to, I think on average, they said about a year or two to get a job. So I started preparing for unemployment, which is not easy considering my student loans are like buying a summer house you don't own that is no fun to pay because you don't actually get to have fun with it. Yeah. So I prepared for unemployment, for long-term unemployment, as best I could. But that didn't work out so well either, considering on a graduate assistant stipend, I mean, you pretty much make less than minimum wage after they're done taking the money that you earn to pay your reduced tuition. So John's job, he paid the bills, and we got to save a little bit of money, which I'm really thankful for, but not quite as much as I had expected. You know, things happen. So we ended up being okay if John had stayed in South Carolina, but coronavirus hit. So then everything was closing. I actually came to visit my family here in New Jersey, and I actually got stuck here during the quarantine because I couldn't go back. And so my husband, during that time, it was like, I think a month and a half. It was about a month when we started planning the move, but about a month and a half in, he actually lost his job because they were all shutting down. And so they were processing all their layoffs, and he said, you know what, I got to get out early, and I got to pack up our house, and I got to move, and I got to get to my wife. So he packed up everything, put in his resignation, and I think like 3 days after they closed the doors, the guy told him it's not staying open. So he would have been out of a job in 3 days regardless. And thank God he got out when he could, because they were starting to kind of get stricter on when you could kind of travel. And so he just basically wore gloves and a mask and sprayed everything, even gas nozzles, waited for them to dry so he didn't blow up, and then pumped his gas. But he did everything he could to sort of sanitize on his way here. It was like an 18-hour drive, I think, or 16 hours. And they just basically, him and his brother helped him move, and basically tried not to get out of the car unless it was absolutely necessary while passing through all those states to get back to New Jersey. So he's been here about 2 weeks now. It's been like a really big relief. We bicker a lot. We're like the bigger sins, but it's been a relief because I was so worried and we were separated for so long, and then all this stuff is happening in the world. I'm sure this has happened to other people that are separated and worried about your loved ones, but for me, yeah, same thing. Like, I was really upset being separated and for everything to be so uncertain. Like, what if he got sick, or what if I got sick and we weren't together? And at least I had family because I was visiting here. He didn't have any family back in South Carolina, so it was a little nerve-wracking, but it's over, so that's good. So basically now I am still unemployed, but I am in New Jersey with my family. And I guess it was a big kind of wallow in it fest for like probably the first month I was here. Like, I'd be okay with everything that happened with the PhD, and then all of a sudden I would just lose it. Like, it would be really stupid. Like, I'd be working on my knitting, and then something would go completely awry, and I would completely feel like a loser and start just bawling. So they kind of were a big help in sort of helping me, you know, grieve, because you go through this whole thing and you think you are going to come out with something. And I guess, yeah, I have the knowledge, so I'm really appreciative that they can't take that away. But I think because of the virus and because of just gaining employment in general is really difficult. It just hasn't worked out yet for me to gain a position. And so as the month went on, I spent more time making, and I started dyeing yarn because I always loved it. And then I couldn't do it because, I mean, there was just no time with work and all. And so as I was making, I felt like I was more honest with myself. And I feel like I didn't want the big job anymore. Like, I always wanted to be this, like, really big scientist that cured cancer, or at least made medicine, or did something really, really important. And the whole time I was in South Carolina doing that, I was absolutely miserable. Like, it wasn't that the work was too much. Like, I loved the 90-hour-a-week work most of the time. I liked keeping busy. I mean, even though I would complain about it, I loved being busy. So I knew it wasn't that. I guess I just missed my family more than I expected. And I don't think that got any better over the 4.5 years. I mean, when I first got there, I cried for like 4 months, and I slept in my mom's sweatpants for like 2 of those months. It was scary. So the homesickness was something that I think I really didn't expect, and I don't think I coped with it as well as I thought I would. And so when I got here and I was around family and I started making, I kind of realized my dreams had shifted. So, like, even when I was there in South Carolina, like, I made bread, and those are my happiest times, like, making and baking and doing all of the homemaking, which I really didn't expect, because even though I got married, like, I never had dreamed about building a place, like a home for me and my husband, and I loved decorating and making things for the house to decorate. And so I think what's really been rough is I kind of have decided that I've shifted. So it's really hard to pursue something for almost 12 years, get your doctorate, and then your dreams change. So, like, it kind of throws you off your axis, because you're like, who was I? Like, where did those dreams go? Where did the ambition go? And, like, what do I do now? And so I realized that ambition wasn't really my problem. I just wanted to pursue something different. And so over the last 2 months, I've been kind of like building up my dyeing. And thanks to like the support of a couple customers that were so sweet and ordered from me, I was able to put that money back in, and I ordered a ton of dyes and equipment and things I needed to really get myself started. So I ended up doing just that. I got started and I put out a line. I made my Etsy shop, and now I'm kind of doing it full time. And I couldn't be happier with that decision. Like, I feel like a weight has kind of been lifted. That's not to say I won't be a scientist someday. Like, I just use my sciencey skills for the dye studio now. And I am so excited about that. And I think that in time, if I want to teach, or if I want to pick back up in the laboratory, I think that's totally possible. So I don't think anything is completely shut off. Like, I don't think any doors have closed, which is what I think I originally had been worried about. Like, if I decide not to be a scientist now, I felt like a door was closing. But I've come to kind of realize that the door doesn't really close. I just have to find a different way to market it later. And so, yeah, I'm really, really excited about dyeing and making, and I'm hoping and praying it turns into a business, because I think, you know, as a PhD, we make budget projections, we write grants. I wrote a book. I published figures in that book. Like, I am really good at marketing. I think I can put those skills forth to sort of put into my dyeing, and hopefully a website someday. And my sciencey skills actually come in handy for dyeing. So, like, when you're dyeing, temperature matters, pH matters. Some of the techniques I used were things that I would use in the laboratory for making up my dye stocks, and so it's sort of reminiscent of that laboratory feel. Only issue is we are in the middle of a pandemic. I have no room to dye, but I'm so grateful because my parents have sort of, even my sister with all her homeschooling stuff, has sort of pushed everything aside and made room on the table downstairs. And so the dining room table in the dining room is currently my dye studio. So that's awesome. Just super nervous I'm going to get dye on something, you know? Like, if you're a dyer, you know, you cannot get dye on anything. So I'm like putting up trash bags on the backsplash by the kitchen sink, and I'm trying to circumvent any accidents that might happen. So that's a little nerve-wracking, but I'm super excited to be able to do it, even if it's in a small space. And in the meantime, I'm like pinning all the things on Pinterest about how my dye studio will look. So a girl can dream, and that's exciting too. So I'm just getting started, and that's what this Patreon is dedicated to. So PhDyer will give you some things to do, because you'll kind of be at the very forefront of this journey. So everything's just starting, and I know I'm not any huge dyer in the community. I've just kind of started on my own. Nobody really knows me. But I wanted to start the Patreon at the very beginning, because I would love to see the journey, and I hope you would too. The journey from like the beginning to like where I'm going to go. And so even though I'm not well known, I may not have a ton of followers, I do want to take the time to document that. So in the future, we can kind of see where everything goes. And I think that will make it a little bit more exciting. Yeah, so I guess we can discuss some of my knitting projects. I don't know if some of you have watched the Woolen Women on YouTube. This is going to be an extension of the Woolen Women channel. It'll have my PhDyer logo down at the bottom, and then I think I'm going to develop a Woolen Women logo for that. So each video will kind of be separate, but you will know they're separate because I'm going to post them on Patreon, just the PhDyer videos, because you'll have exclusive access to those if you are a variegated or a solid tier. So yeah, and then you're also going to get some behind the scenes making. So I've already posted a behind the scenes video, but it is just the very beginning, and I think when I had taken these videos, I didn't really decide fully that I was going to make a Patreon. I was kind of in the works, kind of teetering on it, so I didn't do too much discussion while I was doing my making. So the next behind the scene videos will be more of like a dye along with me, or let's do cross stitch together, something that involves a lot more interaction and dialogue. But I did put together the clips of my making process, all from planning all the way to hand painting the skein, and I put a little music to it just so you could kind of get an idea, and I thought it was kind of fun to see the process from beginning to end. I think it has some low immersion dyeing in there too, so I hope you like that, but there are better ones to come. I thank you for bearing with me while I kind of learn Patreon. There are a lot of quirks and a lot of settings and a lot of things you have to make sure are kind of perfectly set for each of your tiers, and so there's a lot of learning involved. So my knitting. So I finished and I posted the My Boy Lollipop Sweater. Now I've already finished some that have been featured on the Woolen Women podcast, and I'll put pictures of those up on the blog, but we won't mention them again for redundancy purposes. But they're finished, and then I made a second one that I actually changed some cosmetic things to the pattern, and so I added a picot bind off on the sleeves, and I also added another like inch or so, or inch and a half, just with mohair. So the whole sweater is knit holding fingering weight and mohair together. And with the sleeves, I had sort of made a small shoulder cap doing that, and then I started just with mohair like down here for about an inch and a half to make it sort of like a sheer cuff, because I thought that would be super cute. And then I did a picot bind off, so they look really like frilly on the ends of the cuffs. And you can see that in the Patreon post, and I think on my Instagram, on PhDyer Instagram. So I thought it gave it like a girly kind of look, which I really liked, as opposed to the laid back kind of t-shirt that My Boy Lollipop is, the crop top look. And so at the bottom of the crop, I did a feather and fan for about, I think it was about 4 inches. And so it has a scalloped look on the bottom of the crop top, which I thought went really well with the picot bind off. So again, yeah, it's just really girly and adorable. I would show it on here, but it is currently pinned down blocking. So maybe next time I will actually get to wear it and you'll get to see what that looks like. The only thing I was really concerned about is that picot bind off is actually really loose. And as a new knitter, I guess I got really excited about the way it looked and didn't think about its functionality. So I'll have to work on that. But so when I put it on, the sleeves can be really like stretched out. So I may, after this blocking, try it on again. And if I feel like that's still the issue, I may sew up under the arm a little bit, like kind of pinch under the arm and hem those sleeves a little bit to make them a little bit smaller. So next time I go with the picot bind off, if I do that again, I think I would go with a smaller sleeve, which originally I didn't do because it didn't fit. But this one with this bind off, I think will stretch enough and I can do a smaller sleeve. And then it will be a perfect fit, if I'm thinking that through right. If anybody has some comments on like the picot bind off sleeve thing, let me know, because it's kind of interesting, and I guess I haven't gotten into the technicals of knitting completely yet. Like I do gauge and things like that, but yeah, I feel like I could have thought that through a little more with how much your bind off affects the fit. So it's blocking. You'll get to see that probably next time. These will be weekly vlogs, so I'll probably be able to wear it next time. There are no other finished objects. That's my only finished one. But I do have some whips. So my first whip that I've been working on, I don't know if you can see this, let me stretch it out for you, is, I think it's called the Ziggy Shawl by Locatelli. So I've just started. I am using, see, and it's got like, this is like a lace pattern that's done in this rose color. And then this is your garter stitch. So it'll continue in those sections all the way up, and it actually gets really big from what the picture kind of looks like, so I'm excited about that. But this is Peony by Chelsea Luxe, Christina. It is a slub yarn, which her cobblestone version, which I thought was really pretty with her rose gold, because they're like two shades of pink, or roses rather. So I actually used rose gold in the regular fingering base because I feel like I've never knitted lace before, and I tried to knit it in the slub and it was a nightmare. So I think because I've never knitted lace before to begin with, and then like knitting lace with the slub, because it kind of gets a little bit clunkier than normal knitting. It doesn't like, because it's got those little beads in it. I think I was like, with counting and all, I was confusing myself, because sometimes you'll get like one of those slubs actually on the needle where the stitch appears and you can miscount. So maybe it's just me, but like I had a really hard time with the lace alone, and then adding the slub on top of it was like a nightmare. So I've actually switched and done the slub in the garter, as you can see here. Maybe I can, yeah. So I've done the slub in the garter, and then I've done the lace in the regular fingering weight yarn. And so I'm really happy with that too, because I think it's going to be beautiful alternating the colors versus doing two of the same, which I was going to make it maybe one color because that's what she has, but I'm really liking the alternating colors. So I have a long way to go with that one, so I will be working on that probably for on and off for a long time. I think the lace part of it gets super stressful, so I think when I get to a lace band, I kind of slow down with the knitting a little bit, because it takes so much concentration to sort of not mess up, because each line is different. So yeah, I'm just going to go really slow on the lace ones, and then when I get to garter, I go. You know, then it's really easy. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm wearing sweatpants. Hashtag COVID. what would it be like if you didn't wear a regular shirt and, you know, be comfy in sweatpants? I mean, considering we don't have to leave our homes. It's the first time I get to be in sweatpants and not in my teacher clothes for my PhD. Because they make you teach all kinds of classes. So, yeah. Oh, hit the camera. Okay, and so with that, I've kind of been keeping this little plaque. So it's the make one right, make one left. I don't know about anybody else, but like I can never remember make one right, make one left. I mean, sometimes I do, but most of the time, like I will do them backwards if I don't check it every single time. So I keep that little plaque on me, just in case. For any of you wondering, like all my spring bags, just changed them out. All my spring bags, Aggie's bags, Aggie Pearls by the Shore on Etsy, but Aggie's bags, and they are awesome. So I have this little keeper thing, and I kind of, it should be like a progress keeper / like notions pouch, which I guess is what I'm using it for, because I have my little plaque in here, all my little notions. I got some markers in here, but I also have like 2 little balls left from the sweater in it, so I kept them in here as well, because I think if I have to hem it, I'm going to need those. So little notions pouch. It's an adorable little handle, and so keep that in my bag just in reach so I can get to it. Another notions pouch, just to show you where I keep all my needles, is this. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, there we go. Is this little rain boot one? Isn't it adorable? Look at the flowers. Adorable. And on the inside it matches flowers. And I've kept all my little needles and stuff in here. My little gauge for the needles in there. So, very cute. So I've switched over to all my springtime bags because I think that's adorable. Speaking of spring, there is obviously Easter coming up. And again, like, oh my gosh, Easter eggs. And look, the inside matches the outside. But how adorable is that? Pastel colors, and it matches the width that's inside. So, yep, still working on my whimsical socks. If anybody has watched the Woolen Women podcast, you'll know I've been working on these for a long time. They're stressful socks. Like, I love cabling, so like it's a happy stressful. By stressful, I mean like, I can't just sit and knit them mindlessly. So they get kind of put down, and then my vanilla socks get picked up, which I'll show you in a minute. But so I actually made some progress on this. If you can see it. Oh, it actually should be this way because it's cuffed down. Yeah, so I made actually quite a bit of progress since the last time I posted about them. I only had a tiny cuff and like a little bit. So definitely doing better at this. In the beginning, I was laddering from the purling because I wasn't pulling it tight enough. So my mom kind of showed me how to pull that tight, and then it kind of took off from there because I had such trouble with the laddering that I was making holes, and I feel like I didn't progress with the sock until I learned what laddering was and that I needed to pull the purl stitches tighter. Okay. Another bag. How adorable. It's like a little springtime scene. Look at the back of it. It's got a lady sitting on the bench. It's a Paris springtime bag. And it is spectacular. I personally love the little handles rather than the wristlet. I'm kind of really loving that. I haven't had one of her bags that had that, so that's been awesome. But inside I have my other whip. Just this is an Amors tank top, I think it's called. I'll link it below so you can see it. It was a free pattern I got off of a knitter, but I'm knitting it in my colorway, Blackbird Song. Isn't that cool? So it has the speckles and the Blackbird blue egg color. And so I just started working on this, and originally the pattern had like a rack rib, I think it's called, at the bottom. I wasn't really a fan, so I have actually changed it out for a twisted rib stitch instead. So this is going to be like the bottom of the tank top. And then at the top of the tank top, it has like this lace panel that you have to make. And then you kind of sew that onto this tank top, solid blue. So yeah, so I just started working on this. I'm gonna do the ribbing for like another couple rows, I think, because it's only supposed to be like a couple inches, and then I'll start the tank top. Sorry, there was a cat. He's here now. He's over there at the window. They know when I'm talking about knitting and they just flock, you know. Anyway, on my whips, I want to show you Sammy Sew's collection for her charms. See if I can get it to really focus. Oh, I know. This will work. I hope. So, oh yeah, that looks a little bit better. Just get that out of the way. This is the Sammy Sew's little Fabergé Easter egg. So yeah, kitty, come on now. She is making a bunch of these eggs in different colors. So this one's featured in like a peach. They are hand painted. She actually has to hang them to dry because they're painted all the way around. But they are super cute for Easter. And so here's my little cake. I have a lot of ways to go on that tank top, but I'm loving the color. It has some color pooling, but I kind of like the pooling because it was a tonal. If I did multiple skeins, I could probably mix it, but come on, kitty. But yeah, so it was like a tonal skein, and so I've kind of, sorry, I'm gonna fix your focus here. I kind of have some color pooling, but I actually like that a lot with it. It kind of stripes a little because in this skein it does have darker blues and lighter blues. Like it's not just one solid, which I really enjoy. And then the speckles come up slowly. So I'm really loving the color, and I really like this knit so far. I love the twisted rib. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of like ribbing, but if I had to rib, the twisted rib is my favorite. So I'm actually enjoying that quite a bit. The next one I'm going to do for a tank top for me, because that one's for Samantha, is in this color. It's going to be like a, this is Northern Lights. Oh, I forget who it's by, but I will have to link that below. I want to say Sweet Sparrow, but I don't think so. But I know it's called Northern Lights, and so I'm going to, I think it looks kind of like mermaidy colors and beautiful like summer colors. So I'm gonna link that below so you know who this is by, but this will be my next one. I'm gonna knit that same tank top, but in this color. So that'll be my next cast on. I want to show you the little eggs I had on here. Here we go. I have the little Fabergé egg in a rose quartz kind of pink color. I want to show you that. And so this is in the pink, and it's hand painted as well with like seafoam green type color, blues, if it will ever focus. There we go. So, yep, hand painted all the way around, and this is featured in her rose quartz colorway. For her, well, color. Locatelli, I'm doing it again. Yeah, so that's also in her Etsy shop. And she's also come out with these little, I forget what they're called. I think they're mochi bunnies. But yeah, let's see if I can get it to focus again. There we go. So this is those are little bunny ears that are kind of pinned back. And there he is. He's a little mochi bunny. Adorable. So, and that's in her, it's like a pearl color with rose quartz ears. But they come in all different colors as well. So, yeah, check out her Etsy shop, Sammy Sews Creations, if you would like cute little springtime progress keeper. My last whip is, my vanilla socks. These are knit, oh, we got a tangle. How does that always happen to me? I just put it in the bag and it just tangled. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is my Springtime Zen colorway. It has all the colors of spring and Easter, if you want to think about it that way. Originally we made a charm, well, Sammy Sews did, of the yoga bunny. I'll show you that. Because the whole thing was Springtime Zen. Get your Zen on, and you'll have a little yoga bunny to do that with. Let's see if I can get it to... Okay, oh, there he is. Adorable little face, and he's pictured in Downward Dog. He does yoga on your knitting. How adorable. Look at his little cottontail. And he has a little bow. So he comes as an exclusive with the Springtime Zen colorway in my shop. So you can buy either just the skein, or you can get an exclusive Sammy Sews yoga bunny with your Springtime Zen. What is not exclusive to me is this chick. Check him out. Isn't he adorable? Let's see if I can focus him a little better. There we go. Adorable little face. Look at his feet and cheeks. Yeah, so you can get him. He's another part of her springtime / Easter collection. And so you can get him in her shop. I just love him with this colorway. I think he matches so well. Like, I mean, yeah, the yoga bunny, spot on. But chick here, just loved him, so I had to put him on. So I swapped him out for my yoga bunny. I know it's like crazy because technically they're together as a package, but just love the little chick. And Sammy Sews needed somebody to knit with her new charms, so of course I was like, yeah, that's me. So yeah, oh, an adorable bag with bunnies on it. It's got pink inside, drawstring, so cute. So that's it for my whips. Well, for knitting anyway. I am possessed by embroidery and cross stitch. So I'll show you what those look like. So if you've seen the Woolen Women podcast, you've probably seen some of this already when I first started. But I've made a lot of progress. Sorry, the cat. A lot of progress, and all I have left to do is this one color in a chain stitch, and then this one will be finished. So very excited about that. Oh, and again, another adorable bag. Look at this. You can see through it, and it has little like butterfly bows, which I think is so cute. And I put a Sammy Sews mushroom on there. So let me see if I can, oh, there he is. How cute. So that's my embroidery. The cross stitch I just started working on last night, and I couldn't even put it down. I think I stayed up till like 5 o'clock in the morning. No one judge me. My night and days are completely switched with this COVID and with being, I'm not a teacher anymore, and I don't go to school anymore myself. So my night and days are switched. But possessed by this cross stitch. So this is the one that I'm doing. Oh, my mom actually gave it to me because it was her cross stitch. She was having a super hard time getting started, So I think we're going to actually do it together. And so I've sort of started it, and I think she's going to pick it up. So, like, I guess, I'll show you the directions. So I think that will better explain it. So I've never done cross stitch before, so when I kind of started, I didn't know how I was going to keep track of the craziness. And by craziness, I mean, come on, like, look at this. Each one of those is a tiny stitch that you have to keep track of. So I started at the bottom of the pattern, and there are 2 of these, and I'm actually crossing off line by line. If anybody knows like a better way to do this, please let me know. Because I don't know that there is a better way, but maybe there is, and because I just started and I have no idea. But there's quadrants, so I think I'll treat it like a row of knitting. Like, I can't put it down until I finish this row type of thing, except it'll be I can't put it down until I finish one of the quadrants. And then I think if I mark it off, my mom can sort of pick it up on the next square, like, so she'll know exactly where she is. And I found that as the pattern progressed, it started to get easier for me to, like, know where the next stitch was going to go. So here's where I'm at, like, right now. I have a little corner done. And to give you some perspective, see how there's like a divot there? That is going to be where this little column goes. So I've completed this part that's in pink, and a little column's going to fit right in that divot. So that's where I'm at, the bottom corner. Don't judge me, but it took me like 3 hours just to do that tiny little bit. So, but it was my first time cross-stitching, and I had to tear out twice. But then the 3rd time it came out so much better, so I'm kind of glad that I tore it out. And I think I'll get better at it. So I'm kind of picking this up in between my knitting and dyeing. So I've really enjoyed it. Now I need a cross-stitch bag. So working on that from Aggie's bags. I don't know, she doesn't technically sell them, but I'm going to try to get her to make me one. Okay, so dyeing. So I came up with a first round of colorways, which I guess you've maybe seen in my first post on Patreon. I'm probably on my Instagram because I promote them on there. Right now I have the 2 Instagrams. You might have seen it on Dr. Andrew DiCarlo, but I think I've also... Well, if I haven't, I'll also post it on the PhDyer one. But I came up with a Rainbow Mountain colorway, which is like those mineral colors of the mountain. The Blackbird song, which you saw in that that whip with the twisted rib. And the Springtime Zen colorway, which you just saw on the Vanilla Sock whip. That was the toe I showed you with the little duck on it. And I hand painted all of them. That was like the technique I used. So I made up my dye stocks, diluted them down to the colors I wanted, and then you sort of pour it on and you use a steaming method afterwards to sort of set the dye. I've since then gotten a lot more dyes, and I have gone to a low immersion method, which you can see in that video at the end that I posted for behind the scenes. I'm really liking the method because when you pour on the color, and depending on how much you kind of smoosh it around after you pour it on, the colors sort of blend together. And so I wanted to come out with more springtime colors, more like gardeny type feel, more nature type feel colors. And I got a bunch more bases, so I was super excited to try it on that. So the base that I really focused on was the slub base. So the first skein is called Rainy Day Galoshes. And it's officially, the sneak peek is officially out. And I put out a special sneak peek for you guys, my patrons, the top tier patrons, to see all of these skeins in the post I posted earlier. And so that's up there, and you guys get to kind of see them before I post them on my Instagram or anywhere else. yeah, so rainy day galoshes. And so my inspiration behind this was like those stormy but beautiful blues that sort of come out when we have April showers. So like that sky blue, but still the darker colors, because sometimes you get that thunderstorm kind of feel. And then the lighter blues when everything sort of clears and there's that rainbow, so to speak, at the end. And so I put this huge splash of like bright sun yellow. I wanted it to reflect, like, I guess the image I always get with a rainstorm is like a kid or like somebody, like a girl that pulls on her rainy day galoshes, and they're usually yellow in my brain. Like yellow rain boots are just gorgeous, especially up against a storm and like on the ground in the midst of the puddles. So I wanted this yellow to sort of reflect yellow rain boots in an April shower, since we are in April. And so I hope I did that. You guys tell me what you think after we're done here. The other skein that was sort of like a garden inspiration is called Gnome Kisses. Here it is. So this skein has like beautiful luminous gold, like sunshine colors. Because sunshine is what obviously is going to make your garden grow. And if I think of Gnome Kisses, I think of like a sun-kissed garden. Like a gnome came and just kissed all your flowers and they grew. So we put this beautiful gold color in there. And then I put some hues of like the pinks and blues of like the flowers, and then ivy and teal greens for a lot of greenery that could be in there. So I think it came out really beautiful. I gotta say, this is like my favorite one. Like a shawl out of this would be epic. And to go with this, as we've been kind of doing with our theme here, we have a featured Sammy So's charm. And you guys are the first ones to see it. This skein is called Gnome Kisses. And we have a gnome. Cute little gnome with cheeks. See if it'll focus so you can see it better. There. Isn't he adorable? His hand-painted cheeks, and look at his hand-painted hat. Isn't that cute? And it's got a charm on there, like a little gem. It's adorable. And he goes with this skein. So you'll be able to purchase exclusively on my Etsy shop this Sammy So's exclusive adorable gnome charm with this Gnome Kisses skein. And so while you're knitting, you can get Gnome Kisses. So yeah, there's that one. And then the last one is inspired. It's a little bit different. It still goes with the nature theme because it's wood, kind of wood colors. But what was really the inspiration was my 5th anniversary. Sorry, there's a cat again. The real inspiration for this one was my 5th anniversary with my husband. So we've been married 5 years at the end of April, and that anniversary is marked by a gift of wood. And so I wanted to make a skein for like reclaimed wood type colors. So here's that. It has really soft hues of like what looks like a weathered wood, and then darker wood colors. And then, of course, that like classic reclaimed wood, tealish kind of blue weathered sort of color mixed in. And so with this one, you'll also get an exclusive Sammy So's charm if you choose. This one has like a piece of carved out wood with initials in it. A and J for Andrea and John. See, it kind of looks like wood grain. And you will be able to, if you purchase this skein and the charm, you'll be able to put in a personalization. So you could get your initials, either it's your first and last name, or your, like I did with my first initial of me and my first initial of John, my husband. And so I think it's really cute because it almost mimics like, you know, if you go to a tree and you carve out your initials into a heart. I think that's super cute. I may even suggest we put a heart around the initials, see if she'll go for that. So yeah, you'll be able to personalize and put initials on it. And this one also has like that little gem in the corner. It's the same color as like this teal wood color. And so I think this is pretty good for reclaimed wood. Tell me what you think. So it's a little bit different from the nature theme, but still kind of nature because it's, you know, like wood. I think that's great. So here's the 3 that are coming out. You guys got to see them first. And 2 of them are in that slub yarn. And this one I did in a regular 75-25 fingering weight yarn because I really wanted to mimic kind of the grain of wood, and that would be like smooth looking. So I went with that. But you can get these in a variety of bases. I've ordered a ton of bases because we don't know like when people are going to start shutting down. So I've ordered a ton of bases, and I'm going to put on the Etsy shop the bases that you can order these in. So if you would prefer this in slub, go for it. I even have one that's going to be an 80-10-10 with some cashmere in it. So if you do want this in slub, or if you don't want this in slub, you'll be able to have some choices. Okay. Don't forget, if you do purchase the Blackbird song out of the first part of that spring collection, you can also purchase another Sammy Says featured charm, the Bird's Nest. This has the, you know, Blackbird eggs that are speckled. There we go. So yeah, lots to choose from. I've also already come out with my summer collection, but I won't probably release that for a few weeks. I'm going to see how my springtime one goes, and maybe release them towards the middle or end of April. So I'm super excited about them too. And I'll give you some behind the scenes looks on making those, and like where I got my inspiration for the colors I'm going to choose without sort of giving it away. So I'll have a little bit of fun with that. And you may get to see some of the colors during my making. But that'll be okay, because when they're finished, they're just so different than what they look like in the dye pot. Like, you can never really fully know how they're going to turn out until you like get them out of the low immersion cooker or whatever you're using. So I was really excited about it. I actually didn't think I'd like Gnome Kisses, and then it was just beautiful when it came out. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think of the colors, the theme, or like the inspiration of what I chose to do? If you have any suggestions, I'm always open to that. So a little bit about the podcast again. I'm going to try to post every week. It'll be a weekly vlog on what's going on here with life and making and dyeing, and you'll get behind the scenes probably 2 or 3 times a month, or as much as I'm making. So it won't just be with dyeing. I'll probably try to do a behind the scenes with like my bread making, or if I am cooking something that I really enjoy. You'll get to kind of see a behind the scenes of my life as well as a behind the scenes for the making. So I'll have that scattered throughout. It'll probably be a few times a month I'll put out videos for those, or posts with pictures of behind the scenes. Aside from that, your commissions will be given out the end of each month. So I'll mail them at the latest on the last day of the month. But I'll try to post when I send them out, and that your happy mail is on its way, so you know when to expect them. But they'll always be mailed at the end of the month, latest at the last day. So like for this one, April 30th. Aside from that, you have coupons coming to you. But since I started the Patreon like a little sort of, oh, someone's phone's ringing. I started the Patreon a little sort of in between when I got my second patron, which I'm super excited about. And so I started it in between when I came out with my new colors. And when I try to add the coupon to the Etsy shop, it's prompting me that I can only add the current listings there. So I want to wait to give you the 10% for when these listings go up on April 5th, this Sunday. and then I'll send you right out your coupon, because a lot of you have already purchased like what's in the shop, and I want to give you a chance to purchase other things. And then I'm hoping that I can add, like, let's say you don't use your 10% this month and you want to use it next month for the summer collection. I'm hoping I can add that 10%, those listings for the summer, to this 10% coupon. But there'll be other coupons to come, so like if I can't add this one to the summer collection, I'll try to add a coupon for you, hopefully for each collection, so you can get a percentage off of all the yarn once each collection, which is what I'm hoping to do. So you can kind of expect that coupon this Monday coming up, the 6th, because everything will go out on the 5th. Aside from that, I'm going to update my Instagram daily. I will post everything and anything I think is inspirational, or that is funny, or that you might want to see in my life, as well as with my making. And I'm also going to post a lot about maybe different books I'm reading, things that are going on with developing PhDyer, its brand, and like I put my logo up. And so I hope you enjoy kind of seeing everything grow as the PhDyer brand grows, as my dyeing progresses, and I don't know, just as the whole thing sort of takes off. Because I only have 2 patrons, but I'm super excited about them. And I'm so happy you're watching, and very grateful that you're giving, because your giving goes towards so much, considering the crisis we're in, and considering the crisis I'm currently in with unemployment, which I know many are. As a new PhD, it's just an added stress with student loans, and your support goes so far with buying dyes and helping me sort of get going. And so I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you have any suggestions or anything you might want to see, the next one, I want to do shout outs. So I don't know if that's something we have to wait until we get more patrons for. But if you don't want to wait until we have a ton of people and a following, why don't we do the shout outs on Instagram for now, since we only have 2 patrons. So if you want to be shouted out to Instagram on my PhDyer and my Dr. Andrew DiCarlo Instagrams for anything you're making, or maybe you're selling something that you want featured, DM me. Like once a month, I was planning on putting a poll out and having people sort of answer back on what they would want to show and messaging me, and then I'd mention it in the vlog and maybe on Instagram and all that. But this time, I'm just letting you know in the vlog, since there's only the 3 of us here, contact me if you want something mentioned. I will for sure mention it on Instagram. Just DM me. Thank you for viewing PhDyer. Super excited to have you viewing, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye.